With the giant spider Parker lying dead, the wizards made their way through some horribly moist tunnels. As they reached the exit many hours later, it became clear that something sinister was afoot. Dusk had turned to night. And if that wasn't enough, they had emerged somewhere familiar, not so far away from the place where they entered the underworld.
Hi, my name is Chris, and this is a walkthrough for Magicka, the Stars Are Left. These guys aren't too much trouble. All you really need is arcane protection, as far as I know, and my usual protection actually covers that. So if you've seen my last video, you'll have seen this protection. And that protects me from my Frost Mage abilities, which you're witnessing right now. I like to keep things frozen, much easier to kill that way. So this guy, when he's not frozen, I'm sure is a pretty big problem, but once you get him frozen, you can use the cold lightning wall just to keep him frozen in place. And then I use the steam lightning AoE to do a bit of extra damage to him. So because I'm fighting the archers and the bombers again, I've decided to put my rock shield and fire protection back on. Feel free to deal with these guys however you like. I'm sure there are plenty of methods to deal with them. That's the house that was it was blown up, and there was a couple of skeletons outside. So I decided to set up for a stone wall, which they'll all walk through and get wet with, and that allows me to pretty much kill them all in one hit if they don't die to the stone wall. Yeah, the stone wall is pretty effective in PvP as well, because not only does it do really high damage, but it stuns people in place, so it's very hard to get out of the stone wall unless you've got some sort of teleport or you've put an aura on to protect yourself.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, see what I mean? This fairy, just shut up, I don't need to hear this.
Hell, you remember any anledning? Jag tror vi möttes länge sedan. Warpadorpa?
I don't know why he hasn't grown any older and grown a beard.
Wissy, ni nu hörni. Ni nu inventarium aklas blingy.
Right, so there's a guy over here which will give you some useful information. I'll only go through a little bit of it. He does hint at the next monster ahead. He calls him an Enderman.
Förbavad solpi och berättar snaska fronten. Did you remember? You know Mara.
Oh, I can see him hiding in the bushes already. See, I much prefer this version of the Enderman. He's actually scary. Uh-oh. Yeah, so I figured out these guys will only teleport if they're within a certain distance of you. So you can freely do damage at a distance and they won't dodge out of the way, they won't get closer to you as long as you're a certain distance away. You can see these two are quite annoying. A good spell to use here would be a cold and 4 rocks, and just use it as an AoE because it'll knock them down and it'll freeze them if you've wet them like I did. But of course there are many ways to deal with these things. I'll just leave those guys to fight it out. And the good old Master's sword is still up here. We must not have taken it on our previous campaign. It's pretty badass. I always forget I've got it though, but I'll make use of it.
Relax, ja. Ni var nog vad ni kan inte.
So while these guys are at a distance, it's probably a good idea to pick them off from here. Especially while they're too busy killing all the goblins for me.
Ni kan null kurra i evig tid, kan stora gambis i klemta så tusen hör vänskap köttmatska. Och ni funderar på tomthus och giva valuta kommer resa oss till Spanien i enhet. Var vi här? Visar jag fel konst? Potäter! Ni fjantar in och fjantar ur sluttir. Ni kabajoina kultur och hebabba kraftir. Spelevinka ni du med nollpinne. Klar ni? Vad snackar ni? Vi repar kulti. Det var jätteskill. Jag bara joina nej. Beblanda hysch, ej kan ni bereder. Vi slutar ge derpe.
These guys are certainly interesting. It's a very nice character design. I gotta say, I'm maybe a little bit disappointed that these creatures from the water can get frozen. I mean, sure, they're immune to water and stuff, but I can kill everything with freeze magic. Now, there is a book up here which you can get, and as I usually play the rogue, I get a teleport, and you can just teleport straight over the top there. You can go past the gate with no problems. So if you got the rogue, then play through as a rogue.
Vad ni gör här ut? Spatsen? Ge vad för tryckt. Vi porten är Vattenfrossen är tagen. Lyre kalite. Nigura.
So I've gone through the stone wall before. It's pretty effective. I think it does probably the most damage in the game. And not only does it lock people in place, but it does damage. You also don't have to stand there and cast it like the normal steam lightning spells. So I decided to cut in an example of how you would do it with the rogue and just use your smoke bombs to teleport past the fence.
Hey, lyssna!
And you can do it both ways,
Kan ni
as you
lova
can see right there.
lustigt?
Halt! Null ni passera. Halt! Null ni förbi.
Another password.
Null pladdra passe frase. Obviously. Tystnadsbehandlingen, va?
What?
Null rolig får ni.
So this area can be quite tough because they keep surrounding you, and you've got a very small area to work with. But fortunately, the frog guys are quite easy to run past. All you're going to need to do is keep on casting haste. You want to be able to run as fast as you can and get past these guys without getting hit. And if I'm not wrong, then there will be like 4 waves. These will be the final ones that come. Don't ask me what I cast there. I was in a bit of a panic. I spammed a bunch of stuff and thought, oh god, what have I done? And then thought, well, I'll just AoE, it'll be fine. And turns out it was actually.
Good, du kommer hit äntligen. Utman ligger precis här borta. Jag kan noll några bibor lucka mitt bevahalle sinne jag skulle. Tror det vara långt bort i skogen. Sibin vara tom, det vara negsägete, detektiv och se vad det vara fel. Jag håller utkik från norr, stripa alla som spats förbi.
Alright, we're coming up on the next book and the next boss, and also the only bug I've found in this game so far, in this expansion, I should say. Now, after you grab this book, you want to head straight to the bonfire, unless you feel like going to all the doors and seeing what they say. This spell is pretty awesome. Now you will want to be careful when you're standing on like nothing, because it's like a hover spell. You're a hovercraft basically. So if there's nothing underneath, you will eventually sink. And I did actually beat him on that playthrough, and I came back to record it again just to make sure this bug was like repeatable. So I didn't give you like an invalid walkthrough or anything. So if you've got haste on, it's pretty easy to dodge that jump. It will kill you instantly, so you kinda need to dodge it, okay? That thing there that you cast is pretty close quarters, and it will instantly turn you into one of the enemy wizards, so it's not a good thing to stand near him. The levitation spell lasts quite a while, but I like to recast it quite often. Maybe as often as I like to cast the haste spell, because the last thing I want to do is fall into the water because I forgot. It's pretty easy to kite this guy when you've got levitation and haste. I'll never get to you. Now I led him up to the water over here accidentally a couple of times, and he fell in the water I didn't even know what happened. I had to go back and watch the last video that I cut out. And yeah, he just walked into the water and died instantly. Which is awesome, I guess. So feel free to use that. Just copy the same pattern I just did there, and you'll get an easy win against this guy. The only thing you do have to worry about with this boss is his lightning strike, and it'll kill you instantly. So just keep haste on, keep moving fast, and you'll win this level no problem. So I figured it wouldn't be a complete walkthrough if I didn't show you a good way to beat this boss. And if the bug that I showed you, which shows him falling into water and drowning, is fixed, or you don't feel like doing a cheat method, then this boss is really easy. The only abilities I've not covered so far are the reflective aura that he has on him right there, and the lightning strike, which you can see at the top right. So as long as you're moving around, you should find this as easy as I have in this video. Using the rogue gives me a nice speed buff, but again, you don't need as much speed as the rogue gives you on top of haste, so you'll be fine without him.